Hey, hey, hey. I'm back online. How exciting with the fro. It's been a while, right? It's been a while. Yes, I had to take a break between my next set of braids. So today I was brushing my hair and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna show the afros. That's just what this she's my main is going to do for the day, and I'm proud of her and I'm proud of it. So hello, happy Saturday if you're here in America, and whatever day of the week it is wherever you are in the world. Hey, I'm so excited. It's time we can begin. My name is Natasha Nurse. I am a coach. I am an entrepreneur. I am a content creator. I'm a speaker. I am an avid reader, which brings us to what we're doing today. This is technically the last book club of 2020. Obviously, book club continues. I'm still alive. I'm going to read. Hello. Thank you. We are talking about this book. So it's on dressyourmate.com. You definitely, let me put up a banner so you can definitely just join and know what do you mean, what do I mean by dress your mate. So my website, it's where I talk about everything from coaching, fashion, lifestyle. There's guest posts. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal three times. So with that, I think we should get into the book. It's called I'm Not the New Me, a memoir by Wendy McClure. I picked it up because when I got this book, I think I got this book for free actually. I was at an event, I was at a speaking event, I believe. And they had like a series of books, and they were like, you can have as many books as you want. And it's like, I am not the person to tell that to because I will literally come home with a library. My husband's like, why are you bringing books? My bookcase is filled. It's ridiculous. I don't care. I love books. Leave me alone. So I got it because if you can see at the top of the book, right? So there's like a bigger image woman, a medium sized men, thin book. So I knew this was going to be about weight. And then if you look on the bottom, you can see kind of these kind of food images, right? And I love food, if you know me, you know that. Polynesian snacks, slender quenchers, frozen cheese salads. So I thought, wow, this is going to be really interesting. And I'm always into like cartoons or like cartoonified types of drawing. So I thought it was going to be good. And then if you pick up the back of it, then you can kind of get a glimpse into what this book is. So Jennifer Weiner, author of Good in Bed, says, a brave, bittersweet look at weight loss and elusive happy endings. If you're ever shopped in the big girl ghetto, endured a bad boyfriend, or tried to count a vodka and cranberry as a Weight Watchers fruit, I'm Not the New Me is for you. So that's a hell of a endorsement, right? And then Steve Almond, author of Candy Freak, love these book titles. Good in Bed, Candy Freak, Jesus Christ. He writes, Wendy McClure writes about eating and not eating without resorting to the wretched aspirational blather of diet speak. Her prose is ruthless, tender, and totally addictive. If you really want to lose weight, read this book. You'll laugh your ass off. So I was intrigued. I was definitely intrigued. I hope you're intrigued by hearing that. Now, what's my take on the book? As a proud fat woman, and I've been fat for many, many years. I think I started gaining weight at the age of 6. Everything began at the age of 6. I don't really remember anything before 6. So for me, 6 was the epitome of everything. And what was interesting about my fat journey, right, or my ongoing fat journey, is that so much of who you are, your identity, gets so much wrapped in with your weight. And it's really unfortunate because you are more than the pounds that you weigh. You are more than the number on the scale. You are more than what you look like in this world, right? The most important things in this world, when people remember you, it's not going to be, oh, she had the smallest waist, right? Like no one cares. But it's like, what did you contribute to this earth? What kind of person were you? What kind of parent were you? What kind of friend were you? What kind of lover were you? Like these are the things that matter, not, if you were ranging between a size 8 and a size 28. Like who cares, right? And it's interesting because we live in such a hypersensitive world and such a nonstop, right? I'm a nonstop talker, so I'm a contributor to that. But I think my talking is positive and enforcing beautifulness in this world. I can't say the same for everything and everyone. But I just really was looking forward to, if I'm going to read a book about a fat girl's journey, that this fat girl journey was going to be more than just being fat, right? Like, yes, I understand that's a part of my narrative. Like, who I am is the heart of being a fat girl, and I get that. But I'm more than my fat. And unfortunately for me, I thought that the book still was like, can I be happy and fat? Can I be this and that? And it's just like, can you just be that, right? It's, I don't know, it's a similar narrative when you look at other identifiers, right? Like, yes, I'm Natasha, and yes, I happen to be a black woman, but is being black the totality of my identity? No, it's a part of it, right? So there's things that I enjoy because of black culture. There's things that I enjoy because of Caribbean culture that I come from. Like, but I'm more than oxtail. I'm more than jerk chicken, right? Like it's, I don't know. I find that that's interesting. So for me, I was a little disappointed by that. I thought it was definitely very in your face. So if you enjoy reading books that don't hold back, if you enjoy reading that is like in your face, kind of a little bit crass, a little bit like, ha ha ha, this humor is going to laugh you on your ass, you definitely would enjoy that. I'll read some passages for you so you can get a feel of it if you have not read this book. And again, I'm Not the New Me, a memoir by Wendy McClure. If you go to dressinghermate.com, you'll be able to subscribe to the blog, the newsletter, and you'll be able to pick up the book because it'll take you to Amazon so you can get it right there. Now, on page 13, it's titled hashtag Invisible Jet. Diving fat girls are always kind of like superheroes in their own fat girl stories. Of course, the fat part is the alter ego, the Clark Kent or the Diana Princess. To the super sexy spandex wonder of a woman, the fat girl is one day meant to be, if she's to be anyone at all. As superhero disguises go, fat is every bit as effective as a pair of glasses. They work on the same principle. When you think about it, who would have thought super subterfuge, fat girls, and many kinds of incognito superheroes can transform in plain sight, moving either far, too fast, or too slow for the human eye to discern. But everyone is fooled once the change is complete. Also, both fat girls and superheroes are pretty much required to have a story of origin. It's about the moment one realizes she looks different from everyone else, or that she's born of an alien race, or about how she was normal once, but then a laboratory accident or a broken home or a sudden genetic mutation or a summer job at Donut Land changed everything. There's always a cause, and a fat girl is the walking, talking effect. A fat girl story then ought to tell us all these things as well as describe any special powers she may possess, such as an amazing talent for making things, i.e., snacks, disappear, or the ability to refrain from poking her own eye out whenever popular media refers to Jennifer Lopez as plus size, or the power to be invisible from herself for weeks and even months at a time. See, that's like really in your face. It's really kind of a funny, sarcastic way of telling the story, an interesting way of approaching the fat narrative, and it's it was interesting. It was definitely, would I say it's one of my favorite books I've ever read? Definitely not. I would say that for me, I'm still looking. So if anyone has any recommendations, I would love that, to read a story about a fat girl where the story is not centered around her fatness, where her fatness happens to be an accessory to her, not vice versa, right? Because again, you as a person is more than just your fatness. Okay, so John Maxwell books. Oh, interesting. Okay, so I'll have to check that out. Thank you, Aaron. So, it's frustrating. It's a little bit frustrating because I feel like the society sometimes makes you feel like you have to either apologize for your fatness, or that your fatness is to the detriment of other things of you. And that is absolutely not true. Everyone is meant to be whoever they're going to be. And to be honest, I think the fat shaming in this country and in this world is beyond problematic. It causes people to self harm. It causes people to hate themselves, which in turn creates a worse world for all of us. So it's just it's killing me. It has been killing me as a fat girl for many years, and I just hope as I get older and I see the next generation and the next generation come up, that people can look beyond your fatness, that people can look beyond your race, people can look beyond your sexual orientation, your gender, all of these identifiers, and see the soul for who you are, because that is what makes you beautiful. That is what makes you remarkable. That is what makes this world a better place. The identifiers that you just happen to have in this world, in this form that you come in, is cool, right? And that's your differentiator. Like, I love my big ass. Like, cool. I've got big girls with them. Like, cool, awesome, right? But I'm more than my tits and my ass, right? Like, I'm more than that. There's more to me than that. There always will be. So, like, let's identify people and let's connect with people on a deeper level. All right. There was another couple of passages that I thought were kind of interesting. Let's walk through them. Let's see. So I think on this one's a little bit harsher, guys. This is on page 42. Again, what am I reading? I'm Not the New Me by Wendy McClure. Currently, we're working on why I think I'm kind of worthless. For now, Elizabeth and I are putting aside the matter of the answers themselves in order to sort out the accompanying disclaimers and fine print. For instance, I suppose I think I'm kind of worthless because I'm fat, but if you have to take into consideration things like subhead number two, it could be worse, and 2.1, it's not like people point at me on the street or anything, and 2.2c, for Christ's sake, I don't have an eating disorder, and 2.2c, for Christ, oh, I messed that up. And then for Christ's sake, I don't have an eating disorder. And then for 3.2a, I guess I avoid relationships and stuff. And then 3.2b, or they avoid me, as well as 4, I don't even read those magazines. 4.3, and everyone says Renee Zellweger, I always mess up her name, looks hotter than that one movie. And not at least of all 5. Seriously, I know I'm not completely worthless. And 5.1, because after all, I am here, right, Elizabeth? Like, I was reading that and I was just like, wow. Is that what people think fat people or fat women deal with and go through in our mind, that this like kind of diatribe of worthlessness or worth? I mean, whether you have a worthiness issue, that transcends weight, right? And I hope that people understand that people struggle with feeling like they're worthwhile, whether they're 2 pounds or 200 pounds or 300 pounds or whatever, right? It doesn't matter. So there's that. And again, to me, that just seems very redundant in the narrative of, oh, I'm fat, so of course I feel worthless, and of course I have to like speak about it, write about it, read about it, blog about it, right? And it's just like, no, not every fat person has to have a blog about being fat. Not every fat person has to feel worthless, right? Like, so it was, I don't know, for me, I felt it was a little bit stereotypical in the sense of like, oh, here we go, it's a story about another, it's a plot of plus size woman and she hates herself, womp womp womp, and it's a little disappointing, right? Just a little bit disappointing. And she also has a funny bit, of course, in this book. She talks about blogging and kind of her writing her journey about being a plus size woman, right? And her weight loss journey and all of that good jazz, which I related to. Obviously, I have a blog, justhermate.com. But let me read to you this little paragraph on page 57. When I talk about my weight at all, it's simply to mention the pounds I've lost. I think that's all I care about, as it's the pure science part, the measurements, the units, the evidence of change. It's the only part I know for sure isn't completely bullshit. Plus, I like that pound is not just a noun, though I have no idea how to wield it as a verb for my own purposes. I don't know who or what I pound and with what and why. Hey, yeah, there we go. But I like that the potential to do so is there in the word somehow, like an energy principle in physics. So that's what I called my site, pound. I thought that was kind of clever. It's kind of freaky, which if you know me, right up my alley. I thought it was funny. And then on page, what is this, 137, to hashtag wish upon. Once you were fat, and maybe now you're still fat, technically speaking, but let's say once upon a time you were fat for the purposes of the story. In fairy tales, you're only really different once. You might change and change back if the spell is tough. But eventually time stops moving forward and the ever after kicks in. Once upon a time you were fat and you lived in you're fat like a castle. Now, so the story goes, it's a glass casket, and some guy will come along and see you in it. If you're lucky, he'll fall for you, either despite it or because of it. You'd love to know which one for sure, but you're supposed to stay dead until it happens. You don't get to wake up until he's there. Hell of a passage there, right? Like, so there's certain parts of the book that were like really, I think, remarkably written in that they were just really funny or really interesting. But again, like the narrative behind it was just very depressing, right? Like, let me just read back that part of it where she talks about the man part, right? You Once upon a time you were fat and you lived in your fat like a castle, right? So as if your fat is caging you, as if you're trapped by your fat. And then now, so the story goes, it's a glass casket. Is she referring to the connection between, people always go to weight and health, and then, oh, you're at an increased risk of death, right? All that conversation. And some guy, not a guy or the perfect guy, right? So some guy will come along and see you in it. If you're lucky, he'll fall for you, either despite of it or because of it. You'd love to know which one for sure, but you're supposed to stay dead until it happens. You don't get to wake up until he's there. What the heck is that supposed to mean? Right? Like, he'll fall in love with you despite of it or because of it, right? So again, that narrative of like my fat is me, and that's it. The totality of who you are is how much you weigh. Come on. Like, come on, man. And me and my husband have these conversations about that too, of like, like I love how the sexual revolution of like what's going on around us about how people are falling in love and how they identify and who they love and all that stuff. And I really the narrative of like loving people for their soul really speaks to me in that, if you think about who you love, right, depending upon who you are and what your needs and attractions are, like genitalia may not be the top thing that you're looking for in life, right? Maybe it's other things like, I don't know, personality. Maybe it's, I don't know, kindness, humility. Yeah, I vibe with you, right? Like things like that. Like, cool, you happen to come in a form of a sexual being that you happen to want to bump with. Awesome. But it's like, wow, he loves me despite of it or because of it, as if there was nothing left other than that. That's scary, right? And that to me is the epitome of where I struggle with when I read books about the fat girl narrative, where it's like, nope, this is not cutting it for me. So there's that. It's a pretty long book, I felt like, because the diatribe goes on and on. There's some heartbreak, there's some disappointment. She does a bit of karaoke, which is really interesting. There's a dive into some Chinese food buffet, which I'm all for the Chinese food buffet. That's my jam. When eating is definitely my jam. But yeah, it was, and then also that again typical narrative: lose weight, start to gain weight, right? Oh my gosh, is that a crisis of identity? How do I deal with this? Do I hide from it? Am I shamed by it? Right, like the same old story. But again, this book is not new. This is an old book, I think, maybe written in the '90s. Let's see. It was yeah, it's definitely not a new book. Let's see. Oh, printing copyright 2005. Okay, there we go. So still old, right? We're 2020, so 15 years ago. Bit of a stretch for us guys, but there's that. So that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. I mean, I guess my next words of wisdom for anyone watching this right now or in the future is to explore different types of genre. You may not have picked up a book like this and said, oh, this might be for me, but especially whether I would say regardless of your gender or how you identify in this world, woman, man, anything in between, body image and body weight is something that human beings struggle with, right? Men feel a certain kind of way about their bodies, women feel a certain kind of way. I have learned, especially since I started Dress and Mate years ago, that ultimately if you refuse to accept this body, you will continue to live a life of horror and trauma for yourself, because this can change up and down of your own doing or not of your own doing, right? Things happen that are out of your control, and there are things under your control that you can do to change your body. But who you are is more than the number on the scale. Who you are is more than the size pants you're wearing or skirt you're wearing or dress you're wearing. And you've got to fall in love with yourself for you to emulate and attract the type of love you want in your life. And when you walk around and you're like, oh my God, I'm fat, and then da 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 da, and you feel a certain kind of way and negative thoughts about fatness, you're just going to attract situations where people call you names. You're going to attract situations where people make you feel diminished. You're going to, your family and friends will look at you talking smack about yourself and be like, cool, she does it, I can do it too. So it's really important to have a positive, strong mindset about who you are and how you present in this world. Because if you don't, you literally will hate your life. And that's just someone who's lived that truth. And the minute I stopped hating myself and started saying, Josh, you're pretty darn cool. And is my life perfect? Is my body perfect? No, I'm going through things right now in my body that are not of my own control, that cause a weight increase. And it's frustrating, right? But, it is what it is. At the end of the day, I've got to be okay with myself regardless of the number on the scale. I've got to look at myself and be like, you're a bad bitch and I love you and I will always love you. And that's where I stand on that. And it's immovable. It's immovable love. And I encourage you to look in the mirror and say three things every day why you love yourself. And they don't have to do with your weight. It should do with your personality and your heart and your mind. And if you happen to physically be bomb ass, good for you. What are things that you like about yourself physically? Empower yourself. But again, you are more than just skin deep, guys. More than skin deep. So it was okay. I mean, if I had to rate it on like 1 to 5 scale, I would say probably maybe like a 3. That's where I put it because it was funny. But again, I just felt like, ugh, like here we go with the sad fat girl story. Like enough. So I'm definitely going to check out John Maxwell books. Thank you for that recommendation on YouTube. I will also take other recommendations. I'm on Periscope and on Facebook here, guys. I'm wrapping it up, so please put them in the comments now. Definitely always feel free to connect with me, Natasha at dressingroom8.com. Visit the website, subscribe to the blog and newsletter, and then check out for the upcoming schedule. I haven't finalized the 2021 book schedule yet, but if you have recommendations, please let me know. I'm definitely going to be opening it up because, like I said, there's some things going on in my life that I have to definitely read more about. And so I think that those books might make it into my list. And if you're like, well, what are you talking about, Tosh? Stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned. More to come on that. More to come on that, guys. But with that, I just want to wish everyone happy holidays, whatever holiday you happen to celebrate. Please take this time for yourself to reflect. 2020 has been a heck of a year. For some of us, it has been filled with blessings and horror. For some of us, it's just been horror and trauma. And my heart goes out to all of us, to all of you guys, to just know that you're not alone, that we are in this together, that 2021 will be a better year because we're going to be more prepared for whatever's coming because we were unprepared this year. And this is, we're dealing with the effects of what that brought to us as a society on the planet, right? It's brought us to our knees a bit. And that's okay because human beings are resilient and we will always fight and bear through and move forward. But guys, we have to continue to learn. We have to continue to grow. We have to continue to love ourselves, be kind to ourselves, and continue to love on each other. All right. So happy holidays. Thank you for joining. I adore you. You'll see me on social media. You'll connect with me. Go to dressingmate.com, sign up for the blog, the newsletter before the end of the month newsletter goes out. And you don't want to miss it, guys. And for those of you who enjoy Christmas, Merry Christmas coming up. And I'll talk to you guys probably in the new year, which is going to be really amazing. So I adore you. Enjoy the days between now and the end of the year. Happy shopping. See you soon. Bye.